Mark and John, the Dad Podcast crew, sharing laughs, advice, and stories just for you. Mark and John, the dads you'll adore. Tune in for fun, there's always more. Parenting tips and some dad jokes too. Join the ride with Mark and John, it's all brand new. Mark and John, the dads you'll adore. Laughter and wisdom, come explore. So grab your headphones, don't miss the show. Mark and John, where good vibes flow.
Hello, good day, kia ora, and welcome back to the podcast, dads.
Why do golfers take 2 pairs of trousers to the golf course?
Don't know.
In case they get a hole in one.
Joke with pants.
Again, brilliant.
Today's sponsor is Thistle Bakes. Thistle Bakes from Palmerston North.
For all your baking needs, for cookies, brownies, and at this time of year, your Christmas treats. Find us at the Hokofitu Market in Palmerston North. Also on Instagram, Facebook and TikTok at Thistle Bakes.
That was easy for me to say. Had
a John moment.
Yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather.
Say it 5 times.
At 5 times.
Aye. That was better than my joke. Crack on.
Anyway, today we're going to talk about living in poverty and all that entails and doesn't entail, I suppose.
Aye, all it entails, and also the mentality of people living in poverty and the limitations you've got in people feel they've got in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Mark were talking off camera about the statistics lately, like in Scotland where we originate. 1 in 2 children are living in poverty.
Which is absolutely disgusting. Right?
It's terrifying, honestly.
It is, yeah.
The day and age we were living in, where we've got all this technology and we could help each other out, and it's frightening, especially when the UK is meant to be a developed country. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the thing is, you hear more about underdeveloped countries than you do the situation that's in your home country, and even in New Zealand, there's a big divide in New Zealand as well. You know, so
poverty is. It's too much, to be honest, and as I said, in this day and age, there doesn't need to be. Obviously, people now are people are still working, and maybe 2 people are working, and families are still having to go to Foodbanks. It's ridiculous, and there's so much extras and leftovers from companies and stuff like that. Why is there no that option to? I know everything's got a cost. But there should be like a kind of some sort of government substance.
But everything nowadays seems too political, doesn't it? Where like, oh, you can't do that because if they're sick, they'll sue us or whatever. Or, like homeless people, like I've seen it myself. They'll raid bins to get food and stuff, and yet that's all right. But then eating stuff that's just one day maybe past its use by dates, like I just don't. I can't understand that. Like we waste so much food. Nowadays, and there's lots of starvation and stuff, which is not nice.
Because that's the one of the focus on when you're living in poverty is surviving. And if it's like, oh, this food's 1 day out of date, or my kid's not eating. Do you know what I mean? There's no. It's a no-brainer, but you're going to go with there. Do you know what I mean? You're going to feed your kids, and you just said it's just too much red tape and. And
just understanding that the best before and the use by dates as well and stuff might just be a best before. You can still use it, and I'm one of the. I don't know about you, but I'm one of the guys. I use the light blue milk, and I don't go by the date that's on the milk. I wait until it starts floating in my tea.
But cheese.
That's a good judgment of when it's off or no, or like just I give it a smell, and as long as it smells alright, it's fine.
No, it's fine.
I don't mind. It's still,
And it's refrigerated and stuff like that, and it's been looked after. Why is it no? It's still fine. And
Aye.
I always remember years ago, my granddad would speak about it. He'd say, "You never had use by dates by then," and it was basically there was a shortage, so we used what we had, and that was it. And it's kind of similar nowadays. It's like, well, we've got shortages, whether it be, but we've got shortages. Families have got shortages, not because there's not enough food, but because of the gap in the classes, and people can't afford stuff, and they're living in poverty. And let's just help each other. I mean, well, let's get sometimes it's like a bit of forward thinking, a bit of common sense is needed. I mean, by these people. But again, without going down that rabbit hole, the government needs to have the class system. I mean, there needs to be poor people and. But right now I feel like there isn't any middle grounds anymore, Mark. I feel like you're either poor, you're really poor, or else you're rich. And there's no middle ground. And I don't know the reason for that or why it's come about, but cost of living crisis has just sets everybody backwards. Working class anyway.
See the thing that it's more evident now is trends. So like, for years, I'm talking about like long before even I was born, there was always the talk of fuel running out. Oh, there's no crude left, there's no oil, we're going to run out of oil. And they never run out of oil. So they're selling you a fable.
No, it's scaremongering, isn't it?
That's it. And it's so that they can charge more for it, pretty much. And because like look at the amount of taxes on it as well. Like you're taxed on everything, so you're double taxed. So you're taxed on your income, you're taxed on your outgoings and everything you spend, and then you're taxed again on your savings if you've got any savings. And
tax when you die. Tax. They try and even get you in death, for Christ's sake. I mean, that's another rabbit hole. Isn't it? Just like the system is just. I don't know if I can go there, to be honest, but I mean, it's horrible.
And the struggle is real when you are living in poverty, because you look at, I don't know, did you ever have the power cards and
the old £5 power cards?
50 pence and the gas meter and stuff like that?
I don't remember the gas meter, no. I remember the power card and stuff like that, and getting sent to the shop for a power card and stuff like that. I remember them,
and because they always cost even more to run, and it's usually the poorer in society that have them. But yet they cost almost twice as much.
The rates are higher than what it would be with a prepaid meter or something.
So it's actually keeping people in poverty even further in poverty. You know what I mean? And they've got a choice to whether they heat their home or
feed their kids.
And
even now, just like in the UK before I left, there was the energy prices were going through the roof. I think they actually tripled, which is ridiculous. And it was getting to that stage where people were like, do I heat my kids or do I feed them? Unfortunately, it's just parents have got that difficult decision. But I think the most common sense answer is they're going to feed their kids, unfortunately.
But it's when you hear of record profits, like when they reached like one of the stats I read was, I think it was BP, and their quarterly profits was like in the billions. And you're like, that's quarterly and profits, that's not turnover, that's their profits. And you're like, I mean, that's horrible, especially when there's so much poverty out there, you know what I mean? And energy companies aren't, they are.
It's a tough one.
These guys in a dark alley.
No, it's a tough one, because when people are struggling so much, and as you say, just seeing all these profits. I remember in Scotland before I left, the Foodbanks were queued. The people were, as I said to you, both parents were working and still having to go to Foodbanks. And there was actually a food bank. It was near one of the housing we worked alongside when I was working with the council, and they couldn't get rid of the vegetables. People wouldn't take the vegetables because they didn't have the money to go home and boil them up. They couldn't put the gas on. They couldn't cook them, so they couldn't take them. Turning away food, and it's ridiculous. It's horrible. But poverty. It's got a lot of challenges, and it can push you further down in the line, and because it affects you in so many ways. You like once, because the world's always turning, the world's always getting more advanced, whether it's with technology or something like that, and it's the rich that kind of thrive with that kind of stuff, and they can go afford and stay up to date and stay with the times, and the ones that maybe have not got the opportunities because they've not got the finances are kind of falling further and further behind. So it feels like that. Like, it feels like you're in what would you call that? Quicksand. It's like quicksand, and it's hard, and it's trying to give people the guidance and understanding that you've got all these challenges, but these challenges can make you as well, they can push you as well, but you can't always see that when you're in that quicksand trying to dig out.
But that's where, like, I see even more. Politicians are not in touch with your common man. Like, you know, like, more so nowadays. You look at even the situation in the UK where they've got that Keir Starmer. He doesn't care about anyone but himself, and he's never lived in poverty. He's never, you know, he's never been working class, and even, you know, Labour and the Tories are just as bad as each other. There's no common man, and it's like, what I don't get nowadays is it's all a divide. They can't agree on anything, but why not? Why can't they agree on something? Why can't they just be, for the greater good, why can't they say, well, yeah, I agree with that policy, let's, you know, let's rethink this, and it's all about pointing and laughing and being childish, you know. Politics is really childish, the way you look at it, you know, like, I'm like, these are the guys running our country, and they're baiting each other about stupid stuff while people are living in poverty. And you're like, you know, like, that's not going to help society, you know, that's not going to help these people in that situation, and, you know, and it's maybe about time they let somebody that knows the struggle run the country. Let's run for mayor.
But no, you're 100%. These people haven't lived in the struggles and the challenges that people faced, and they've got that kind of, what do you call it, that step up, that they've got that upmanship on people. Do you know what I mean? And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. When you're living in poverty, you feel like you're always swimming against the tide. You're always
that's it. You're swimming against the tide all the time, and you're like, it's I'm trying to think of the word now, but they can talk about it, but they've never lived it, and you know, like, you're like, you just want to tell them to shut up. Like, just, mate, come on, man, get a rest. Like, and it's just lie after lie after lie, and
BS again.
You're like, why not just be honest about it? Just why not be honest about your policies? Why not be honest about these things? And people appreciate honesty more than anything. Like, if you're honest and say, yeah, look, this is what we're going to have to do, but
and put the reason behind it.
But it's not. They lie, and then they get into power, and then they're like, oh, I'm sorry, this is not, or they lie about it even more when they get in, and they go against what they've said before, because, you know.
It's all lies to get in. That's all it is.
And that's what they do. They come up with these words in the think tank. Cost of living crisis. It's not cost of living crisis for them. I'll never forget David Cameron during the GFC. He was like, oh, we need to tighten our belt and all that. No, you don't have to tighten your belt. We do. The working class did. He didn't.
No.
You know, he wasn't paying tax. His money was all on offshore accounts and stuff like that. And you're like,
they know the loopholes, don't they? And stuff like that.
So they're actually avoiding paying their taxes, but they want you to pay taxes. So why do we have to pay tax, and why do they get to avoid tax? You know, and then obviously there was the COVID thing, when you see that what happened with the, you know, the PPE and all that, and you know, they're all in on these schemes.
All their friends and getting them in and stuff like that.
And you're like these people are filling their boots, and you even seen something where there were. I was reading something online, and it says that there was 5 billion got lost. And
5 billion.
And you're like, oh, you know, like, it's not like you lost £5 down the side of the couch. You know what I mean? And you're like, they're like, oh, it's not even worth try to figure out where it went, and you're like, £5 billion, not worth looking for. Like, I mean, if I lost £5, I'd be like, where is it? And
exactly.
I'd be pulling up the couch, and you're like, these guys don't care, because that's nothing to them.
Because there's no accountability.
That's it. There's nothing to it. It's not their money. They don't see it as their money, and
there's need to be held to account for the what happens. They could put it in some other bloody Jakey fellas the exact same as them, come in and fill it for me. But I know you're right, 100%. The government have lost touch, and people have lost faith in the government, especially the way we're living and stuff like that. And we, as in people, and as I say, it's just all faith has been lost. And I can't remember if I had a conversation with anybody who has had any good things to say about the government. You know what I mean? Whether it be here or, in New Zealand or Scotland. And it's kind of similar in other aspects as well. It's not just the fact that they don't understand the poverty as well, it's the day-to-day things they don't understand as well, the struggles that single families have got and families have got with young kids as well, and their kids have and stuff like that, and try to keep up. I mean, so they don't quite understand that as well. And as you said, it would be really good if we had somebody like a working man who actually was standing for the government and standing for the people and fighting the cause. I mean, because I think it's something we need, especially with people in poverty, and giving people the. Listen, I don't know all policies that's out there, but I definitely feel that there should be more training and more.
So for me, John, I grew up in poverty, and then when I grew up, I got older and got out, got my own house and stuff. You don't realise that you get a bigger spade and you're digging you're digging yourself into a much bigger hole. So whereas, like, you know, you're getting offers of finance, and then you're getting offers of credit cards, and you know, like, I got a credit card, and at the time it was the worst thing I ever did. One, I never knew how to use a credit card, so that's a good learner for you, actually understand how to use a credit card, because what we did was spent the total and paid the minimum, and that's what the banks want you to do. They want you to spend pay off the minimum every month. And I was watching something, because I've obviously now got a credit card, but I use it differently, and I use it to my advantage. But I was also reading something else, and it says if you find yourself in that situation where you are in poverty, don't just pay the minimum to your credit, pay the balance off you. So if you've got, say, $1,000 for your wage, put that $1,000 into your credit card, because it puts the balance to your credit card to $1,000. You've not paid the minimum, you've paid all of it, but you can still use that $1,000 to pay all your bills anyway. And I was like, that's exactly what you should be doing, because that's what I do. And I never realised because that's now what I do. I pay the balance every month. But I've got a card that gives me points, and I use the points as well. So if I'm buying something, I'm buying it anyway, and I buy it, I use the credit card, and then I pay the balance every month at the end of the month, and the fees are minimal. So instead, like, because most people pay their mortgage and they'll pay the bills, and then they'll pay the minimum out to the credit card. Whereas if you pay all your account into the credit card, you can still then pay all the bills with the balances in the credit card. So hopefully that's a good tip for somebody out there. That's
100%, Mark, because it's another thing we're never taught at school. They want to teach you about trigonometry and pi squared and stuff like that, and stuff that you're never going to use.
Sausage and bacon. Free bentos.
Free bentos.
Oh, no.
You know free bentos? The free bentos. No, they teach all these things in school, like trigonometry, pi, and stuff that you're not going to need in your life, stuff you're never going to use, especially nowadays where everything's done on a computer. Like, even when I was in work and stuff like that, we used to use token stations to kind of get your levels and stuff like that. Everything's done now by lasers and stuff like that. So you don't really need these things. But what you do need is life skills. You need to learn how to use the money you've got, and how to invest and manage your money, because people don't. Because like, I've got people I know who, as soon as they've got the money, it's gone.
Spend it.
That's it.
And that, for me, that's what I learned. I used to do the same, and that's a Scottish mentality. I don't know, it's maybe other people's mentality, but
it's what you know.
we were in that mentality of that you get money, spend it, and then at the end of the month you struggle, and then you get paid again, and then you do the same cycle over and over. And it's the same. It was like if you go on holiday, you save up that little bit of money, you spend it all, you don't come back with any money, you know, because the last few days you're like, oh, what can I buy? Get rid of that, you know, and that's just the way you were. You were programmed was to let's spend it because this is a spending money for holiday, and you know, instead of oh, we did good, we saved, and look like a real Scotsman talking about being tight now.
I don't know where we get that. Honestly, I really don't know where we get that like reputation of being tight. I don't know.
No, because we spend, we definitely spend money.
No, definitely.
I think it's the people. I'll not say it.
Our neighbours.
You've take yes.
No, see, going back there, some credit cards, there's certain things on credit cards that you can't buy the way. Like, guys, like you can't pay your rent with it. You can't pay your mortgage with it, sorry.
You can if it's a direct debit. No, like if it's
A fixed.
you can pay it. If you get an invoice, you can type in the number.
Nah, yeah.
Do that way,
But you can't, because like...
But you can't sell them like a direct debit and things like that. But
Because there's certain credit cards, as you say, you get points and stuff like that, and that's like your big expenditures. I mean, your mortgage, so that's the stuff you would get points in that, more points with.
Speak to your bank. I mean, your bank should help you with that stuff. So speak to them, ask them what you can do with it. And,
No,
you know,
definitely.
and they should want to advise you properly. Then, you know, so.
So for you, as you were talking about the living in poverty and stuff like that, and as you talk about as well, the challenges you had and stuff like that, and the mentality of people around about you, and how did you manage to kind of get out of that then? What was your kind of
For me,
planning?
we lived in that spiral. I had an overdraft, and we lived in the overdraft. The same with the credit card, and we paid the minimum. We did the kind of standard. I lived in debt, struggled every month, couldn't afford anything, and it was that when you're putting the heating on, it's like can't really put the heating on, or you know, like make sure the lights are switched off and stuff like that, and you know, but then I started to educate myself on it. I was like, I don't want to live like this anymore, you know, and then it was that. So I think I spoke to you about it. I divide my wages up. So like there is things that you don't need to buy. So I decided that with my wages I'd get my bills, I'd make sure they were paid, and then I'd put a small percentage away every month or every week or whatever it may be. So I put like a small percentage away to build up my wealth, and then I put another smaller percentage away for emergencies. So like, you know, there is that potential chance that you might not work, and I've loved that as well. I love we no work and seen the challenges that I have. So I wanted to try and build a 3 months, at least 3 months salary, so that if I didn't have work, I could survive for 3 months.
Bit of safety net in it.
And you've got to really be disciplined with it, John. You have to be really disciplined with your income. So when it comes in, you go, right, this is the money we spend a month. That is, I classed that then as the wages, and everything else was just like a tax. So I went, right, well, that's these two are the taxes, these come off, so that the wage that I do make, this is what it is. And you forget, you don't even notice it, because you give up. You know, if it was maybe, you know, like getting a hot chocolate in the morning or something like that, then you know, like, right, oh, I'll not do that. You know, I'll stop doing that, and we got more structured in how we did things.
I was going to say that, it gives you that kind of, there's a wee bit more thought goes into it as well, because like, oh, I'm not getting my hot chocolate, I'm not going to go and get that, but you know what I'll do? I'll buy a packet and I'll make myself up, and I'll get myself,
I said hot chocolate, but I drink tea, and I buy tea bags, and I'll make a tea and work. You know, I'll get to work and I'll make a cup of tea and work, and instead of, you know, buying something at the shop. And so I did that, and then something that I found really important was I realised that lots of your bills cost more if you pay them monthly, and instead I pay them yearly. So what I did is I made sure that I could. You're going to pay that anyway. So I thought, right, well, if I can try and save that little bit extra, so I can save that amount by the end of the year, when that bill's due again, I can pay it off in one. So then I pay off that bill in one, so that I don't pay that extra. Because if you look at your yearly total, I spend less a year than I do, or than I did when I was paying it off monthly, because I pay these bills off in a lump sum at the beginning of the year.
Stuff like insurances and stuff like that.
Aye.
They're always a lot cheaper, but you could they give you that option if it could be annual or monthly. But I think, Mark, what you're talking about there as well, in educating yourself, and again, that's what we talk about. We talk about education, and lucky that you had the kind of drive to go and do that. But a lot of people live short term. They don't put plans in place, and they don't put a bit of forward thinking. A lot of times because they, again, they're not educated and they're not in a position to. And but see, we're living like that because it's hard. As you said, it's discipline to have that discipline to not go and spend. I mean,
But it
it's
can
difficult.
be. The thing is people can, and you need to be that disciplined that you have to. So like, I'm talking about, John, when I started this journey, it was pennies. I used to save the pennies and the 2 pences and the 5 pences, and like I'd put, because you don't notice that sort of stuff, right?
No,
Because you don't. And I used to put them in a jar, or I'd put them in a cup holder in the car or stuff like that, and I'd put them away. And then we started doing the same with the odd pound coin and stuff. I was like, all right, if I put that away, I'll know I've got it. And then we started doing stuff like that, so that if you feel like you've spent it, so instead of going, oh, there's £1 for that or whatever, I felt like that I've already spent that. I'll put it away. That's in the, and then that's the money that we used to come here, John. And it was that going through all the coins.
Counting up and stuff like that.
You're counting them all up, and you're like, I've saved a few hundred, pound just in little bits of coins and stuff that you've otherwise thought that you've already spent, and it's there.
A lot of times, well, like it's short-term pain for long-term gain. Do you know what I mean? And having that discipline into it's like, and I think the struggle with people living in poverty is as well. Things are tough enough, right? And they're finding it hard. And to have that discipline to go and put the wee bits away as well, it can be tough. And because when you live in poverty as well, you actually, a bar of chocolate or something, it's like, it gives you that wee bit of, and a wee bit of, what you call that, like
endorphins.
And a wee bit of enjoyment. And
well, I've had lots of enjoyment when I look at the size of my chin.
Face front. But it doesn't have to be difficult, as you said. It doesn't have to be great amounts. Do you know what I mean? And it can just be starting small and letting it grow, and it soon mounts up, as you said. Like the small amounts you put away, and a lot of things as well. When it comes to life, there's two things. There's wants and there's needs, and it's being able to be able to differentiate between them and what you really need rather than what you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously, when people are, when you're in poverty as well, it's,
and I don't really mean to be critical. I hopefully it doesn't sound bad the way I'm going to deliver it, but again, people buy drink. If you can afford to buy alcohol and drugs and all that, you can afford to save money. Especially even cigarettes and stuff. Look at the price of them now. If you can afford to have a habit, you can afford to save. Like you have to. Everything's a life choice. Everything is a choice, John. And by you making that choice, that I'm going to have my cigarettes because I enjoy them, or I'm going to have a beer because that's what I like. Aye, but again, your stress could be your financial situation. But you're actually that beer that you're relieving your stress is actually contributing to your stress because you're making a choice to keep yourself in poverty for the sake of. And if you give yourself, because I said I make goals, 5-year goal, I had a 5-year goal, and my biggest goal, John, was I wanted to be in Australasia by the time I was 30. And that was my goal. And I did it. I was 29 when we moved, you know, and I was like, this is my goal. I want to be there. And at the time, John, I'm talking about we were seriously like living like everybody else would.
Right.
Like, you can even picture how poorly we were living, you know. Like, and yeah, same, you know, like, again, there's Foodbanks and stuff like that out there to help situations like that, but
And it's demoralising as well. Do you know what I mean? Living in like that, it is. It's like sometimes you can't see it's that vicious circle into it. You're like, you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel and stuff.
no,
So,
what, like I was going to say, people used to, like, for me, going to Asda was like looking at Waitrose or Marks and Spencers and stuff, because we couldn't even afford to shop in Asda. So for us, it was Farm Foods and Iceland's. Remember them?
no.
So that's where we used to shop. That was where we shopped, and it was like all the frozen stuff, and that's a pretty good. The food there is good, you know, but that's what we lived on, like for a long time, you know, and it's microwave dinners and stuff like that, and
Yeah, I spoke
had a
about
nice cooker, and then never used it, just couldn't afford to.
clean. Was it clean? Was it? Nice and clean. No, listen, I did speak about that earlier before about kind of processed foods and stuff like that, and I'm not saying no microwavable stuff that is. I think a lot of microwave stuff is pretty fresh and pretty good and stuff like that. And but you go eat. Do you know what I mean? And it was about survival. You know what I mean? And when you're trying to survive as well, you do it by any means. You know what I mean? There's no any embarrassment in trying to survive. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying eating the kind of meals is embarrassing. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm taking a hole for myself here. Help me out. But
it's tough, isn't it? You just got to make a decision. Everybody has a choice, and you have to choose what you want to do, and make a conscious decision of what the decision you're making at the time. Go, right, this is why I'm making this decision. You know, like, and
just make a decision and sticking to it, isn't it? It's being able to. We talk about it all the time, but it's about having that discipline and knowing that the pain you're going through the day or the struggles you're going through the day is to make the morale better, isn't it? Because sometimes when you're financially embarrassed and you're struggling, you I can't think of the word I was going to say. You can't see it getting any better. Do you know what I mean? It's like, as I said, it's a vicious circle. It's like, it's just.
But see, like, for me, John, like, we spent a lot of years in poverty, and when we come to talk about the come to New Zealand stuff, I think that's why my stress levels had peaked, and to the point that I could hardly stand up, was that at that point, one, I realised the normality of what I was going to do, but two, I realised that all my hard work was paying off, because, like, I had the flight tickets and I had the accommodation booked, and I was gone, and it wasn't until that point I'd realised that everything that we'd put in place was starting to come together.
Take
And
shape,
even
innit?
like, you know, even now here, with being able to buy a house, like, you know, like, but I mean, houses aren't cheap here, John. You know, like, you know, my house is $1 million, and when I talk to people, it sounds like nothing here, but back home, when you're talking about that kind of money, it's a lot of money. And it wasn't until I was talking to someone back home, I was like, oh yeah, I just bought a house here, it was $1 million, and you're like, they're like, how much? And I was like, oh, $1 million, and they're like how much? And then I got me thinking about the first house I bought was 60,000, and I was like, my car's 60,000. I've got a $60,000 car and another car in the driveway that's more than the cost of my first house. And then you realise what you know, like, where that, and it was at that point I was like, I forgot where I came from a little bit. You know, I've forgotten that I came from there, and then you appreciate it more. You know, like you appreciate the fact that
Background in them or something.
that I was like, you know, and that's when I realised that all this stuff that I was doing, all these little changes that I hadn't seen, were paying off, and that it was working. You know, because me and you had that chat, didn't we? We had that chat about, you know, the changes that you make and your Kiwi Save your pension and all that, and you know, and they all make a difference. You just don't realise it. You just, you know, like,
it's just chipping away at it. It's just gradually growing up and stuff. But when you're living in poverty, and as you spoke about as well, Mark, and you had done all this effort and you were getting to come here and stuff like that, it was, yeah, you had a wee bit of stability with the job you were in as well, didn't you? Because
not when I first came over, no.
No, but I mean, no, I'm talking about before you left as well to come here.
Like, that's the first time I ever had stability.
Aye, that's what I mean.
Was before we left, you know. We'll talk about that later, but that was the first time I ever had stability, and that was like, having to break that was very difficult. That was a very difficult decision. Was like, but I'd already made the plans at the time, and I was like, you know, we're going, and
Just see it through.
so, and I'd never had stability, and then I was putting myself back in a situation of not being in stability, and again I'll talk about the stress when I arrived, and you know, and that was difficult because again we arrived here on a temporary visa and all of that sort of stuff, and again we'll talk about that later. That's a secret for now.
No, what I'm meaning is like when you're struggling and you're kind of living paycheck to paycheck, when you're starting out and you've got that wee bit of stability, you've got that job, like people can get scared to lose that, if you know what I mean, because it's the fear of losing that stability, because like as you said, you had been struggling. I mean, it was almost like a test for you, like before you left. I mean, just it's almost like just Scotland still just trying to hold on to you, innit?
Me, I went to the pharmacy to see how much the Brave pills were.
Gubbed a few.
Honestly, I was like, "Can I get some Brave pills? I need to take some of them."
But look at what it done, and again, that's a good story as well. Because that's the hardest thing as well. People know what they need to do. It's just actually.
I did it all without drinking as well. You know, like that's like.
Clear mind though, then, isn't it? It's you're thinking straight.
Yeah, that's it. But I'll never forget that challenge at the airport, John. Like, even when we arrived, like, I'm going into more detail on it, but even when I arrived, like, Sandra's like, "Where you going? Where you going?" I'm like, "I'm going up to the Emirates desk. We're getting a ticket back." Like, I'm going home. Like, I'm going home.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just you saw it through. But I mean, and that's what people need to do. Is having a plan, being disciplined, and be able to see it through, because it's a struggle. I mean, and it's the daily struggles, the daily grind, and it's just you need to have that desire in you to not be living like that, because because that type of life can swallow you up. I mean, and it can break you. I think a lot of good people, because the best people you meet, me and you spoke about this and all, like me and Mark have both done deliveries and stuff like that, and we always found that the people who kind of gave you tips and stuff like that was the people who were
less fortunate.
In poverty and stuff like that.
Because they appreciate it more, don't they? Because that's the kind of stuff they were doing, like we were. Because, I had a full-time job, but at nights and weekends, I was the same as doing deliveries, and I was doing everything I could to make more money. Like, you know, and it was then, you know, I think I spoke about it earlier, but I never saw my daughter awake because I was always out working, and I was, again, it's just trying to
provide that better life.
Again, swim against the tide all the time, and you know, like, and it was just I just working all the time. You know, I did the pizzas and I did the chippies and I did the Chinese, and I did anything I could, you know, and as many nights as I could. And,
just try to
you know, if there was overtime at work, I took it, and if I couldn't get any overtime, I'd be doing the deliveries and
just try to get that step up in it. It was just trying to kind of pull yourself out of that lifestyle you were in, and I was just thankful as well that you could manage to get that education in yourself to kind of pull
'cause
yourself out.
one of the things as well is I worked in taxis, doing the taxis, and that's absolutely the
Tough game.
oh mate, it's horrific how bad it is and how corrupt it is as well. And like I was getting runs taken off me. They were like, "Oh, you'll not know what that is," and you're like, "But that's a big run." So like they would take it off you and give it to someone else, and
No.
and then I got my radio cancelled and stuff like that. And you're like, they cancelled your radio because you never got to that in time, and you're like, mate, I was literally reading my paper. I was putting my paper down. I was about to accept it, and it keep taking off, and then they cancel your radio for it and stuff, and you have to pay. The thing is like to do taxiing, I had to pay for your badge. I had to pay for my car up front, so everything's up front. So you pay for your car up front, you pay for the radio up front, you pay for the diesel up front, and then
Your radio fee for the
I
badge.
see that the radio. So you pay all of these things up front before you even make any money. So I was working all the hours that I could get, and I got to a point where I was doing that much work to try and claw back the cost that I worked right through the night one night, worked right through the day, right through the night into the next day, and I ended up doing a taxi run for somebody that worked on an airline, and I was like, "Oh, you know, where are you going?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm going to the airport. I'm going to do the red eye." And I was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And she went, "I'm going to do the first flight of the day." And I was like, "Oh, you're not a bit early?" And she went, "No, it's like 4 o'clock just now." And I was like,
Wow.
"I've worked all day and all night, you know, like,
To break even.
to try and break even and
Wow.
pay for next week's radio and all." And I was just like, "What am I doing?" And anyway, what came of that is I was working that many hours and doing that much stuff for it that I ended up driving through a red light because I couldn't see it because I was that tired. I was that fatigued that I just couldn't concentrate anymore. And I remember doing it, and I remember thinking about it after it, and I was still driving. And at that point, I was like, I had to stop, and I went, "I need to go home now.
Had enough,
That's it." And one, the tax companies don't care because they're getting paid, they're getting their radio money,
That's up front, so it's there.
and I mean, they're like, "Oh, it's up to you how you do it." And
Aye, so they're getting their money, so they're incentivizing you to go and get the money back because you've already paid up front, so you're already in the red.
so you're already in the red and stuff like that. And I was like, there must be a better way of making money and stuff like that. And that's at that point I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. This is a monk's game. Literally was a monk's game. And you know, and I wouldn't recommend anyone do it. You know, and again, people say I'm not having a taxi driver, but sometimes that's the only way the taxi drivers were making money. You know, and look at it, I tip any driver, you know, now because you know that they need it. You know, these guys need it, and it's a tough game. So
Aye, and that's the kind of stuff that people are facing, Mark, because you've talked about there as well. It's like when people are struggling and they're having to work all these hours and stuff like that, and I've seen it in my own life. That's how my mother was. I didn't see her a lot of time as well because she was working. So that's the challenges they're facing as well. So they're fatigued. So they're not thinking straight. They're not doing things rationally. So there's no, sometimes they've maybe not got that time to go and educate themselves. They're just living day to day, literally. So.
But that's again, that's why we're doing this, isn't it?
Aye,
To try to understand.
Aye.
You know, we're trying to understand, and again, like you know, like what you spoke about earlier, how you'd like to, like, we spoke about finding it about your mum, you know, like, and you know, my mum's not here, but I can't ask her, you know, and like, I'll never know the struggle that she really had, and that's why we're doing it, innit? Because we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. We need to figure it out. We need to iron these things out, and because we can make a better place for everyone. You know.
Definitely. It is trying to understand and make sense of why people made the decisions they made and stuff like that. And for us, personally, first, I know you're saying you can't get the answers directly for your mum, obviously, but you can try and make sense and maybe make a bit of thought but I understand why she thought what she did. That's maybe not the ultimate answer you're going to get, but it's a wee bit of like.
But the thing is, John, look at us, right? We're older now, and you done that over pronunciation like friends, Joey.
No, it's just the talk of getting old. I was just.
But we are, you know, look at my grey hair, man. Like I had to go and get my highlights washed that weekend. But you know, like I think about this, and I think that I see it as that my dad was the adult. He should be the one making that first move. He should want to know about his kids. He should want to be helping his kids, and he should be making the effort. I'm the child, so why should I have to make the effort? And so I use that same methodology when, you know, like I try and make the effort, you know, and like, so I don't like, the more as they age, they should be getting more experience and stuff like that, and they should be understanding, and they should be making the effort to come and speak to you and stuff like that, and they don't. So
there's a lot of time passed in that as well, Mark, but it's never too late. I mean, even if it's just end of the day, like you're his son. I mean, it's just 100% agree with what you're saying there. Like the parent has supposedly may have the experience and a wee bit more foresight, like to go and make that move. But I don't know. It's one of the ones that sometimes it's not something we can do, and that's where this podcast for us as well, to shed a wee bit of light on stuff like that as well, and people's advice, because we'll never understand that. We'll never understand how you could.
And that's for us, because, like as I said, I always try, and like I phone Ronnie every day, pretty much, and I talk to him every day, and I enjoy talking to him every day, and I enjoy checking up on him and making sure he's all right. And I tried to phone my dad as well, and I phoned him, and the conversation was like 3 minutes long, and most of that was silence. And people don't understand, because they watch this and they're like, "Oh, you can talk," but most people that know me, like, I very rarely speak. I bet you there's people watching this and they're like, "He actually can talk. He's actually got a voice, man." Because I was pretty quiet my whole life, and I didn't talk and stuff like that, and I did find it difficult to talk. And when I phoned my dad, I'm like, you don't know what to say, and he didn't know what to say, and he just went, "All right, and that's it, and goodbye." And
Look
I'm
after
like,
yourself,
"All right."
goodbye.
Like there was no, like, one, he didn't ask, "Oh, how you doing? How's your work? Where are you staying? What's your house like?" There was nothing like that, because I know all that stuff about him, but he doesn't know any of that about me, and there was no asking any of these things, and that's all the stuff that Ronnie asks us when I phone him, talk to him, like, "Well, how was your day? What did you do today? What have you been up to? What's your challenges?" And and you done anything new with your house or stuff like that, like, we've done a new bathroom, put in a new toilet suite and stuff like that, and he's always eager to hear it and see it,
interest.
and like, and you're like, and he fundamentally, he's a stranger. He was only somebody I met at work, and so.
But that's the thing, Mark, as well. Like when people, I keep saying that, people in poverty, like when you're living that lifestyle, you do kind of like attach yourself to people as well, and especially when you've not had that father figure as well. Like sometimes you're maybe doing it without even thinking, because I've always been like wanting to listen to older people and what they're talking as well, and try to get their knowledge after them and try and listen, because I think I was doing it subconsciously. I was never meaning it. I always felt like I could talk to older people better, and I was going to say when you're struggling, and what I was going to say was, you make family doesn't have to always be blood, Mark. Do you know what I mean? It's not always.
It's a family you make, innit?
And for me, family's connection. and being there and understanding each other and knowing what the person is feeling and what they're going through. Not always, because listen, we've got our own lives. But as you said, it's that checking in, you know what I mean? So family doesn't have to always be blood related. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely know. Like for me anyway, like I've already said, you know, Ronnie's more like a dad to me than anything, you know, and he's taught me a lot of things, and we've done heaps together, you know, and like I'd do anything for Ronnie, absolutely anything for him, man.
And he'd do the same for you.
I know he would.
That's 100%.
That's the thing, you know, like even when he had his heart attack, you know, I was on the phone when he had his heart attack and all that, and like I knew he was sick, and I knew there was something wrong with him, and I was like, Ronnie, you're gonna have to phone Steph, you're gonna have to phone Ronnie, you do something, Ronnie, that you know you're not like, you know that you're. Like, and I was like, I'm on the other side of the world, you know what I mean? I can't do anything. I can't even, and I was thinking, how do I phone 999 from here?
Aye.
That's literally what I was thinking. I was like, how do I phone 999 from here? Like,
it's the dialing code and stuff. Crazy.
and I'm like, and I was trying to figure out what Ronnie's number was, his boy, and I was like, oh, I don't, like, you know, I was panicking, and then I got a message from Stephanie at night to say I had a heart attack and that, and I was like,
Christ.
what are you doing? You know, like, but you know, like he's been instrumental in my life and stuff, you know, because he's always been there. And
again, because that's what I mean, that you can afford your relationships when you have got these similarities and you have got that the same kind of path.
Yeah, because he's lived the same life, you know, and he understands a lot of it, you know, and again, we spoke about it before, but like if you've not lived it, you don't understand it because you've not been there, you know, like, and people only see the here and now, and they only see what they want to see, and that's again why we started the podcast, was that you know, like, people don't see the path that you've taken to life, and this is our path. This is the path we took to get here, and I tell you, it's been a hard road. So
hard road, but got to here and seen the rewards of it as well, because it is difficult, and with that father figure there as well, and the guidance that comes with that, we do attach ourselves to certain people, but again, it's just about that connection for me, as I said to you, and well, not always, but a lot of people find their path anyway. Do you know what I mean? They find the way that life will take you where it's meant to take you, if you know what I mean.
So, because I had a chat with someone at an event recently, and she said not only was I wealthy when I grew up, I was wealthy because I had both parents, and I was getting the knowledge passed down. Not only was I in poverty and or like poor financial career, I was in poor environment as well, because like you never had that knowledge, you never had anyone to pass on the wisdom, and you are only seeing, because I think there's a saying about it's about the company you keep as well, the people that you
like-minded people,
and you know, like, get yourself in that environment, and you know, and learn from. Like, I feel like I'm a sponge. I was always a sponge, and I'm still a sponge. I'm still learning. Like, you know, I'm still making mistakes, and you always make mistakes, and I always try to learn from them, and sometimes you get really tough lessons, and you know, and I'm always you just always got to be open to learn, and
every day is a school day, innit?
every day is a school day, and that's it. So I'm always learning, and always want to learn, and always want to do better. Again, that's why I'm doing this, and it's like, always want to achieve more, and
so progress in your life, not just as you talk about as well. No, it's not just about financially, because like riches, as you say, riches come in different forms as well. Like, it's having that fulfillment in life, and having the relationships, and being able to like be able to share life. I mean, because that's what it's about as well. Like, obviously you get your own family, you make your own family as well, but it's good to share, because like we're sharing as well, just the experience and stuff like that, and that brings a bit of fulfilment as well. Knowing hopefully that you're giving somebody that wisdom and that knowledge and that confidence to get out of the situation they're in, because it's hard. Life's hard, and it's very hard at the bottom. I don't want to say the bottom, but you know what I mean. But when you're struggling financially, and I think that this will bring a lot of fulfilment.
No, it definitely does.
But is there anything else we'd like to touch on over here?
No, I think like to get out of poverty, you got to change your own mindset, you know. And as I already spoke about, my papa said people like us don't buy houses, and that was the mindset he was in. And the mindset behind that was that he would say that, you know, like, people like us, we need these houses because we can't afford to buy a house, and so we need this. This needs to remain in the government's hands because, you know, if you need a house, we need to be able to have access to that. And I was like, well, if you buy this house, you can then pass it down to us, and then your family will always have a house. Because people were doing it, you know. Sometimes there's that saying where if you can't beat them, join them. So if other people are buying them up, because like my gran lived in her house for 60 odd years, so she had paid that house off more than double.
Aye.
And she got an opportunity to buy it, and I said to her, Gran, I'll buy it. And she was like, no, I'm not letting you buy it, and it'll cause issues. It'll cause issues later on, and
in the family and
with the
stuff like
family and all that. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, it's me that's buying it. Like, if I'm buying it, then it'll remain. It would be mine's once you pass. And she's like, no. I said, well, everyone has the option to buy it. If they don't want to buy it, then that's fair enough. But if they want to buy a percentage, then they can buy a percentage, and we share the percentage. And they didn't want to. And so, I mean, that's again. Because like, I'm glad I don't live in Scotland, because I drive past my grand's house and see someone else living in it, you know, and that's difficult because there's lots of good memories there, you know, lots of not so good ones, but I mean, I had lots of friends in Barhead and stuff like that, and you know, you still miss them and that, but again, these are the sacrifices you make in life, innit?
For the greater good, for your family's greater good as well.
Because again, I'm building my own legacy, and hopefully my daughter will not have the same struggle, you know, because if something happens to us, she'll not have that issue, you know. So
definitely, and that brings a bit of fulfilment as well, doesn't it, knowing that you're
as Giant Victor said, you got your house in order, haven't you?
There's a few Giant Victor lines I'd like to have said. I don't know if the audience would get it, but I'm sure the ones in Scotland who watch them will understand that. But aye, well, thanks, Mark. I really enjoyed that, and hopefully there's a few bits of wisdom in there to help you in your journey and your fight against.
And if you want us to run for Parliament, you know, just like, follow, share, subscribe and all that stuff.
Aye, I'll start with a like and a share.
That's it. We'll fight a good fight for the real people.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what it's all about.
100%.
But yeah, so again, if you're still watching, thanks for still watching.
If you're still with us.
If you're sleeping, hey, wake up! It's time to get up!
Maybe some taxi drivers watching us.
Well, could be. Oh, Jesus. Just think of the backlash I'm going to get from the hire companies.
Listen.
But again, it's true. It's all real stuff. I'm not going to not tell you anything that's not true. And and there'll be lots of people who will agree with us. And that's why I see adverts all the time, desperate for taxi drivers, because people now are more wise to it. Whereas when I did it, there was not. People didn't have social media and stuff like that, and now everybody's got it. So again, people passing on their wisdom, and people are like, I'm not doing that. Like, you'd be crazy.
Because you're selling your time for money, and it's the reward for the effort, isn't it? It's not there.
Aye, that's it. Because I mean, the taxi company's prerogative is to have as many drivers as they can on the road, but your prerogative is to have less. Because it means that you're constantly busy.
There's more chance of work.
And because you'd sit and you'd have lots and lots of downtime, and because you're waiting for a fare to come in, and That doesn't help your situation.
No, I worked for a delivery company before I came here as well, trying to earn some money and the money you used to make and it was amazing, but it was just a lure to get it again, and then they had that many taxi drivers, the demand got so low for drivers that they could literally offer pins. And that's what it's like, it's that luring you in, and then as soon as you're lured in, aye. No, but
that's the hook. Aye.
But
so we're trying to lure you in, just subscribe and if you agree with what we've said, write something in the comments, tell us what you think. If you disagree with what we've said, again, put that to us in the comment as well, because again, we want to learn, we want to look at different ways of doing it, but this is what our opinion is, this is what we feel is right, and this is what we think and we know is what's happened in our lives. So
yeah,
so share away and tell us what you think.
Share away, and that's it. Thanks, Mark.
Cool. Well, see you on the next one.
Catch you
Thanks
next
for
one.
watching.
Thank you.
A real friend of mine, we talk from time to time. Our solidarity, precious, simply divine. Damn obsessed, my big mate Mark. When we are together, always up for a lark. Born somebody yet leans on me. Instinctively practical, damn obsessed, yeah, damn responsible. I fall for somebody, never tires of me. Every day striving without hesitation. No one knows his destination. A big future ahead of him, it won't change him. Trust me, I know him.
Once in a lifetime, if you're lucky enough to find a friend like mine. He's a real friend of mine. It only happens once in a lifetime. Damn obsessed, free spirit and slightly blessed. A real friend of mine.
We talk from time to time. Our solidarity, precious and predefined. Damn obsessed, my big mate Mark. When we are together, always up for a lark. A born somebody yet leans on me. Instinctively practical, damn obsessed, yeah, damn responsible. A thoughtful somebody, never tires of me. Every day striving without hesitation.
No one knows his destination. A big future ahead of him, it won't change him. Trust me, I know him. Once in a lifetime, if you're lucky enough to find a friend like mine. He's a real friend of mine. If you're lucky enough to find a friend like mine. He's a real friend of mine.
Once in a lifetime, if you're lucky enough to find a friend like mine. He's a real friend of mine. When we are together, always up for a lark. A real friend of mine.